Well, on Match of the Day 3 this week, we're going to talk about Liverpool, who had a comprehensive win at West Ham and are in third, although Manchester City have a game in hand. And if they finish top four, I know you got involved in a social media spat over this, but
it wasn't
if they...
a spat, it was a debate.
Sorry, a debate.
Yeah.
That's a good season, isn't it?
It will end up being a good season in terms of the position that they finished in. I'm sure they set out to finish in Champions League position, and in terms of that, they've achieved it, if that does happen. You know, when I look at Liverpool, I just thought it's never going to be a better season for you to prepare your squad, you know, get you ready. They pretty much said, put the FA Cup to the side, focus on the league. And they've stumbled over the line, but, you know, albeit if they do get the win against Middlesbrough, which I fully expect them to do, they've achieved what they set out to do, so it'll end up being a successful season.
I suppose partly they've stumbled over the line, if you're using Jermaine's phrase, because they've had players missing, haven't they? I mean, Henderson has been out injured, Lallana has been out injured, Sturridge, who had a good game at West Ham, has been in and out. So as they've got nearer to the end of the season, they have Sadio Mane, of course, who won their Player of the Year, a big miss. You know, they've lost crucial players. They have,
you know, big players that potentially could have certainly earned them a few more points. But you know, I think Chelsea run away with the league. I think, you know, considering how Liverpool did up until Christmas, that was what inspired people to think Liverpool could do more. But you know, I think going into the season, they would have accepted the step of Champions League football, and they look like they've got that.
You know what it was most? I didn't see it coming, if I'm honest with you.
What,
when I watched Liverpool against the top sides, you know, I think within that top six, they are at least, if they're not top of that league within the group in terms of playing against each other, they're second. Yeah. And you know, that shows that, you know, they're ready for those big moments. I was very disappointed in terms of how they've handled those lesser games, and I didn't see that coming with Jurgen Klopp at all. I thought that he'd have them far more prepared, having spent a year with them already to get them ready. But you know, I'm sure they'll improve the squad, you know, moving forward, and they'll start to knock that out of their game.
People say they're poor defensively, which at times they've conceded goals, but you know, if Liverpool are looking at strengthening, they need Daniel Sturridge firing on all cylinders, because it's in those games where they're expected to beat the lesser teams. You know, big game against Middlesbrough in the last game of the season. It's these games they've struggled in, and if they're going to strengthen, for me, they need a striker. And
it's a great strength in depth as well. I mean, we've spoken about it a few times on Match of the Day too, that sometimes you look at their bench and that there are a few kids on that bench, and the net spend under Klopp isn't that great. So it's a greater strength in depth.
In fairness, you know, in terms of strength and depth, I think if they're fit, those players. Yeah. I mean, they haven't got Europe to contend with, so they only needed to prepare for a season, you know, out of Europe. So you don't need as many players. Next season, they're going to be in Europe regardless next season, whether it's the Champions League or the Europa League. They're going to need to bolster the squad. I agree, at times they've not had much to turn to in terms of the bench, but when they're fully fit, all the players, that's a squad of enough depth to go through a Premier League season.
Yeah, you compare their bench to Chelsea, who've won the title, Spurs at times, Man City, and the benches just don't compare at the moment. And you know, with the added addition of the extra games, they're really going to need to bolster that squad.
Did you win that debate on social media?
You don't always have to win, chappers. It was a healthy debate. You know, we don't all have Twitter spats on.
Okay,
on the...
all right. You lost it then.